And so it's finally that time of the patch where we finally know the official banners of Mavuika and Citlali. Now the banner is interesting this time around. Some of it were expected because, you know, if you guys watch my prediction video, I kinda already guessed some of this character to be here, because considering these banners are for the new 5-star character, which are very important, it's something to be predicting. But obviously the whole point of this video again is to look through the banner once and for all before you guys literally decide to pull in the next 2 days, because it is a very important patch in terms of how many new things that you may be spending your Primogems on. Nutlin is finally here, and of course that comes with many new characters that you would want to pull, and I can guarantee you that Mavuika is going to be on the list. Now if you're planning to swipe for pulling, then don't forget to check out Loot Bar. If you know me, I've been recommending you guys Loot Bar before, since you can always save almost a 20% on all of your top-ups. With over 100,000 orders and so many good reviews at this point, you can be sure that Loot Bar is trustworthy. To demonstrate it to you, I've been topping up my Genshin account through Loot Bar, buying the highest Genshin package. The only information you would need to fill out is going to be your UID and server region. Then go through the checkout process. After completing, the top-ups will come to your account within 5 minutes. Usually it just comes instantly for me. Here you can see my order receipts of all of my top-ups that I have done. So guys, be sure to check out Loot Bar through the link in my description, as it can be a great way for you to save your money, especially if you are topping up a large amount. First off, regarding Mavuika, once again, if you've been watching a couple of my videos, my standing on Mavuika at the current point is that she's obviously a very powerful DPS character going to be coming. Very cool as well. You know, her build as a character is something that we can't deny to be, oh my god. As well as she being on a motorbike, which I have seen that some of you don't like, which is understandable because, you know, if she's a very good looking character, sometimes you just want to have her, you know, on the field doing animations, but most of the time she's literally just going to be on her motorbike doing the animation, so it can turn a lot of people off. But other than that, it's not just about her animations, but in terms of her skills and kits as well, which I've discussed it before, which most of the time she's going to be a DPS character on your account. She can't be a sub DPS character, but again, you know, our pyro quote-unquote queen ever since the start of the game, Xiangling, is still technically going to be more preferable in terms of pyro applications, and especially what she's capable of doing when we already have so many accounts having a C6 Xiangling, and she is still pretty much capable of any day, which makes again Mavuika pool also one of a more questionable pooling on your side as well, and you do kind of have to think a lot about it if you guys are still on the fence. Again, obviously if you guys already decide to pull for Mavuika due to preference, then obviously it's not going to be something that I need to give advice on, because once again, if we like a character, you guys go ahead and pull for it. If you guys enjoy the game, that's the best way in terms of how you want to enjoy playing a game. But overall, even though she's a very good character, Genshin Impact do not lack a good character that can actually help you clear the game, because at this point in time the game is still pretty much easy. If whole universe do happen to add any other future kind of content that does pose slightly more of a challenge that requires you to have, you know, more meta characters, then yeah, we may think more about that later on. But right now, in terms of how many new characters that's going to be coming and the banners that are upcoming, yeah, right, I'm most likely going to be saving more of my pools in terms of Citlali. And while talking about Citlali, yeah, she's, I don't know, she seems hot to me, okay? I think it's a way how Universe actually marketed her, but her personality overall in terms of what she's capable of doing, providing you a shield, giving her quite a unique kit in terms of providing Pyro and Hydro character more of a diversity of team comps overall. I wouldn't say it's that much of an upgrade, because there are already many other support or sub DPS character that has the ability to increase the damage of your Hydro and Pyro teams. As once again, you only have a 4-slot character team. It's not like you have a 5 or 6 slot that adds to on top of the other support and sub DPS character that are already on your team. But most likely, whenever you have Citlali, your probably going to be thinking of switching at least one of your support character in place of Citlali, right? So that only adds more in terms of diversifying the type of team comps your Hydro and Pyro DPS character you're going to be having. Now on Mavuika's side, however, Citlali is definitely the top support and technically kind of a sub DPS character on the team for Mavuika in terms of providing her melt, quick nuke burst damage as well as a shield here and there and other better quality of life, which definitely it is really nice. But other than that, I do value a lot more in terms of Citlali, future potentials more than Mavuika, because again, as I've mentioned, DPS character can be power crept real fast depending on how much whole universe likes it to be, because the same as Nubla and Alakino situations, Mavuika already technically power crept them in terms of how much support and investment you give towards Mavuika, even if you are a free-to-play player. So that is really something you need to take note of whenever deciding to pull. Now, looking into the banners itself, Bennett, Diona, and Kachina. Overall, yeah, I don't think it's too bad of a banner. The Diona hasn't been back for quite some time, which is really nice because I still value Diona pretty much. Even though she has fall off in terms of the teams that she can be using, because there are more healing character that is capable than Diona. But in terms of what she's capable of doing, right, Diona's shield is pretty good. Her constellation is pretty valuable. If you have her at C6, that 200 EM provided to your DPS character is not something to laugh at. Now, the only down part about Diona is that she is a circle impact character. Her burst AoE is not that great. It's pretty small, I would say. I think it's roughly around the same as Bennett. So yeah, if you're playing Bennett, yeah, you're probably used to it. But in terms of when you're up against enemies that moves around way too much, circle impact in Genshin Impact is not a fun way of playing the game. Plus, Diona is a bow character, so if you're more invested and have the elegy, that's more of a buff toward your whole team comps as well. And overall, I think she's a very nice character, easy to play, pretty interesting personality. It's just that we haven't met her in quite some time in terms of story quests, kind of miss her. So hopefully we're going to be seeing her in the future. And the Bennett, it's pretty apparent. I've already predicted in my previous video, it's Mavuika and Citlali banner, right? It's a new characters. You want to make the 4-star on the banner good. So at least Bennett has to be here. And I know that we've already got Bennett in some of the banner too much recently, but again, it's not too much of a complaint compared to some of the 4-star character that might actually just make the appearance on the banner and make the banner worse. So having Bennett here and you guys potentially getting up to a Bennett at C6, nowadays Bennett at C6 isn't really that bad anymore, because the extra pyro buff as well as the DPS character on field don't actually get overridden by Bennett's C6. So yeah, getting his C6 is actually not that bad. So aim for more for constellations is going to be fine. Now Kachina, I honestly don't see much into her, apart from the fact that she's going to be a character that used Cinder City set. I've already got her at C6, which I have no idea how I actually got her, but overall her constellation doesn't actually help your team that much. It's mostly going to work her personal damage, and you don't use Kachina for her personal damage. It's actually very hard. You do have to invest quite a lot into that, so it kind of sucks because I really like Kachina as a character. But yeah, again, she is a new character, so Kachina being here, I don't think that's too much of a bad thing. So overall, as I mentioned, the 4-star banner is pretty nice. If you're pulling on it, I do wish you good luck. And moving on to the weapon banners, obviously the spotlight on this is going to be the 2 new 5-star weapon, the Blazing Suns and the Star Colas Watch. Now, looking into the weapon specifically, it obviously is a weapon made for Mavuika, a DPS weapon, overall a lower on the crit rate side, but it has the highest base attack in the game. Whenever you use your skill or burst, you get a 20% crit damage and 28% attack increase. You can't extend this duration whenever you use your normal or charge attack that deals elemental damage, but once the equipping character has access to Not So Blessing State, this Scorching Brilliance effect are increased by a 75%. and if you are off field, this duration do not count down, so it is really good for Mavuika. Technically speaking, you can use it on any of the other DPS Claymore character, and I can say that this Claymore will still be better than most of the DPS Claymore options out there. But even though if you don't have the 75% increase in the effect, because well, yeah, it's technically not that double, right? You only get like roughly 3/4 of that. Now, as for Citlali weapon, again, I actually value this weapon pretty highly. You get 265 EM. Base attack is pretty decent, and further increasing your EM by 100, which is huge for a character like Citlali who scale with EM. Now, this weapon fullest potential obviously activates after the equipping character is able to create a shield, because that's when you get a 28% damage increase for your character that is on field. So, you know, it can be kind of nice for more of an investment towards Citlali, definitely. But overall, if you're more on the free-to-play side, it's not too much of a needed, because overall, Citlali is a character that requires a lot of EM. So we can already have a lot of other free-to-play options that already has good EM increasement. Plus, EM increase can be done on artifact substats if you're very lucky on it. So definitely it's overall going to be pretty good compared to if you have this weapon and whenever you're building your artifacts, you don't have really good EM on your substat, which is definitely something you want to look out for in terms of min-maxing your Primogem usage in this banner. Other than that, the 4-star weapons here on the banner is decently good as well. You have the Stringless, one of the best 4-star EM weapons out there for bow character. The Sack Sword, very important. The Favonius Codex and the Favonius Lance are two important weapons for most of your 4-star again. And the Lithic Blade is definitely the most unpopular weapon here in this weapon list, but if you do have it, you can still have a decent option for your DPS character, especially if you're running in a leeway team, of course. So it does limit it a bit, but in terms of the passive, whenever it is maxed out, it is pretty good. So overall, a nice weapon banner overall. I kind of like it because we have two new 5-star weapons that I'm pretty sure many are going to be trying on the weapon banner, especially when the pity system is a lot better on the banner overall. And then furthermore, once again, this part of the video we always touch on the future banner discussion, because that's a very important topic whenever you are deciding to pull. Now, I know that Mavuika and Citlali definitely are tempting, but the character lineup for future patches are also tempting as well. We obviously don't know exactly which character these are going to be because it is unconfirmed, but we can almost be guaranteed that the next couple of months we're going to be getting a lot of new 5-star character, and many of which it is certain that you are pretty much tempted to pull. Not to mention, Arlecchino and Cloran is technically right afterward. Now, even though Cloran is pretty much a preference character, but since it is a preference, I know that many of you who love Clorans are still going to be trying to pull for her as well. Same with Arlecchino, even though she's going to be falling behind Mavuika quite a bit. But if you do invest more into Arlecchino, especially her constellation, she still has some of the best constellation in the whole entire game. At which point, yes, she is going to be beating a C0 Mavuika once again. Therefore, that's something to consider. Not to mention the Chronicle banners. I don't think we have a lot of time to discuss the Chronicle banner here because I've already got a whole separate video on that. Preference character wise, not to mention the rerun banners of patch 5.4. Potentially, Furina is going to be coming back. Now, I don't have to mention how good of a character Furina is, especially when you do invest into her constellation. Sub DPS character, guys, is still going to be some of the more important character overall in terms of team building across the board in the long term. Furina is one of the better sub DPS character out there, not to mention she has the ability to buff your team damage, is so huge and a fitting character in so many teams that honestly speaking, I still feel that Furina value beats most of the characters that are going to be coming in patch 5.3 banners. Because yes, C0 Furina is really good, but once you get Furina up for more constellation, just at her C1 or especially her C2, she's going to be a totally different character that maximizes her potential really well. So that's something you guys really want to consider, guys. And those are going to be the things that I want to put in the spotlight out there so you guys can technically be aware of before we get to the banner in the official patch on the 1st of January. Guys, if you do have a question, leave it down in the comment section so I and some other lovely Genshin player will be able to help you out. I really hope that the video have been really much helpful to you. If you're deciding on the banners and you're lacking in Primogems, don't forget to check out loot bars. I'm sure they will be very helpful to you. I really appreciate you guys staying with me till this part of the video, guys. And with that, I wish you a super day, and I will catch you on my next video.